in motion. Humans are a product of the evolution of species just as much as buffaloes and beavers are. Evolution is a seamless garment with no holes wherein souls might be inserted from above. Now that's interesting because one of my favorite Christian philosophers, Richard Swinburne, he actually argues that point. He's like, from our philosophy of mind, we know that human beings have minds or souls because we have free will, the power of reason to think with math and logic and immaterial concepts, scientific theories, all this stuff. So reason, free will, love, and the self require a soul or a mind to be real. Since Swinburne believes God used evolution, these souls have to be inserted from above at some point in evolutionary history, into some hominids or whatever. So, and the last, or two popes ago, John Paul II, he said that, yeah, evolution is permissible as long as God, at some point in evolutionary history, endows humans with a soul and God's image. Okay. And X-Files fans, you remember Scully was an empiricist in the beginning. All right. Wilfred Sellers, he said this: in the dimension of describing and explaining the world, science is a measure of all things, of what is, that it is, and of what is not, that it is not. This is scientism. Nice statement there. Okay? More on scientism. John Post, he wrote this: according to a number of influential philosophers, the sciences cumulatively tell us, in effect, that everything can be accounted for in purely natural terms, the naturalist theory of knowledge. The ability of the sciences to explain matters within their scope is already very great, and it is increasing all the time. And this is the naturalist creation story. The worldview this entails, according to many, is naturalism. Everything is a collection of entities of the sort the sciences are about, and all truth is determined ultimately by the truths about these basic scientific entities, a physicalist view of reality. One of my old professors and friends, he said, if it isn't in Cell magazine or journal, it doesn't exist. And Cell is a magazine or a journal of neurobiology. So that's a nice statement. Okay. Carl Sagan, if you saw the movie, I think he co-wrote it with his wife, Ann Druyan, Contact. That's on there. All right. Now, Big Bang Theory, some of you guys don't know it. It just says that the universe came into existence. Every star, every galaxy is moving away from every other star and galaxy. Just like if you drew dots on a balloon and blew it up, everything is moving away from each other. Now, how do you explain that? Wow, maybe all these things came back at one single point, and boom, spit out. So, the Big Bang, naturalists don't have an explanation, it just happened. Some people want to push it back and say there's a Big Bang machine or these inflationary models, but you still have the same problems. Eventually, you have, where did that first thing come from? But Big Bang Theory, yeah. Space, time, matter, and energy came into existence. Okay? Nothing existed before. Not time, space, matter, energy at all. Everything came into existence. Some students don't understand the view. They think that there was some particle or some big mass that existed. But that would mean that space, time, matter, and energy existed. No, nothing existed. Everything sprang into existence. I was explaining the design argument to these people in Nice at a hostel a month ago, 2 months ago, And so I asked this girl, what's more reasonable, God or no explanation? She's like, well, chance. I'm like, no, chance is not an option. Chance, you have some kind of mechanism working, and usually what we mean by chance is that we don't know what's going to come up or what's going to happen. If a universe exploded into existence right in front of my face right now, I wouldn't just say, oh, that's just chance. No, we want to know where the heck that came from. Either there's an explanation or there's not. It's not chance. All right, sidetrack. Again, just to review the box, what is real, what is not real? Boom. 1, it should be capable of being known within the limits of the naturalist view of knowledge. 2, its origin should be capable of explanation in terms of the grand story. Some people believe that some emergent properties supervene on brain states and things like these. And so other naturalists are like, no, that's cheating. That's dualism. You might as well believe in God. Where the heck did that stuff come from? You can't explain these correlations. But some naturalists know they help themselves to those things. So you decide what you think. But again, that's a review of the box. All right. What are the implications for human beings? What are human beings on naturalism? Well, guess what? We are just a bunch of particles moving in fields of force. Okay? That's all we are. Okay? This is me. This is you. This is my mom. This is my 99-year-old grandma. Okay? So, if that's the case, we're just meat machines, products of nature. We're just complex pieces of nature. And we don't have powers over and above nature. That's why we'll talk about free will. But if free will, real libertarian agency is real, this is a bizarre supernatural power. Okay? That we have a power that other parts of nature don't have. So that makes us very unique and supernatural beings, if that's true. Okay. So, actually what we are, we're just bundles of physical properties that exist at time t0, t1, t2, t3. There are no enduring or perduring entities. We're just causally related. Okay. Origin story. Humans came to be by purely non-theistic physical evolutionary processes. Not internal relations. We're not going to talk about that, but that's an important thing. To form an aggregate of parts versus substantial wholes through which chains of events and energy passively move. So for me, I'm going to critique naturalism because I believe that internal relations are core to our metaphysics, and I believe in substantive wholes or substances, which are two things that can't exist on naturalism. Okay. More on humans. Particles are organized into larger systems. It would be tricky to define the notion of a system, but the simple intuitive idea is that systems are collections of particles where the spatio-temporal boundaries of the system are set by causal relations. So where does tougher end and begin? So there's atoms on my hand, outside of my hand. Where do I stop and end? Okay, and so you'll have to tell a story because atoms are continually leaving this body, and I'm gaining new ones every 7 years, every second. Where do I stop and end? Okay, that was by John Searle, that last quote, which is a naturalist out of Berkeley. David Hull, a naturalist, says this: there are no non-physical elements. If species evolve in anything like the way Darwin thought they did, then they cannot possibly have the sort of natures that traditional philosophers claim they did. Because so many moral, ethical, and political theories depend upon some notion or other of human nature, Darwin's theory brought into question all these theories. So Darwin did get rid of two things, formal and final causes, in Aristotle. And life assumes there's a way we ought to be. We ought not to be selfish. We ought to be loving. We ought to have empathy. Okay? We ought to care. We ought to be courageous. But no. If naturalism is true, there's no way we ought to be. Those things just can't exist. Okay? And yeah, morality and these kind of things are going to be hard to save. All right. Some other implications of philosophical naturalism, philosophical anthropology. You have no free will. There's no control over our movements. We're just parts of nature, just like rocks, rivers, and volcanoes. Okay? And it's going to be hard to save rationality, insofar thinking is dependent upon free acts. Now, if evolution programmed us to have true beliefs, then that's one thing. But we're just meat machines, remember. So reason, as most people think it, is not necessarily real, because there's no such thing as free will. And Darwin's dangerous idea, as Daniel Dennett explains, is that nothing is goal-directed. There is no teleology in nature. It's an illusion. So even our thought processes, to some degree, we have to reinterpret. But it's squirrels that didn't do barkings died off. Okay? Or hearts that didn't pump blood. Organisms that had hearts that didn't pump blood, they just died. Okay? There's no purposes in nature. That's what Darwin tried to show. Okay? So there's no ultimate purpose to anything, no teleology, all illusions, and there's no life after death. That's a thanatology. Since we are identical to our physical bodies, when our physical bodies decay,